Welcome back to Chain of Thought, everyone. I am your host, Connor Bronston, head of technical ecosystem at Modular. And a quick thank you to our presenting sponsors, Galileo, for helping to make this episode happen. Today, I am joined by Sterling Chin. Sterling is taking us through his creation, Marvin, a personal AI assistant that he has built. If you follow him on LinkedIn, where he is quite effusive and interesting, he has shared a lot of great insights already about it. And Sterling's background as an applied AI engineer and senior developer advocate at Postman is really coming to the fore with the directions that he's taken Marvin. And of course, if we're going to talk Marvin, we got to talk Moltbot or OpenClaw, whatever they're calling it these days. Maybe it'll have changed by the time this episode comes out. Sterling, so great to see you. Super stoked to see Marvin and have you take a first spin.
Yeah, dude, Connor, always good to see you. Thank you so much for having me, and this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to show off Marvin.
Come on, of course, man. Of course I want to do this, yeah. I have a metaphysical question for you before we dive into the nitty-gritty here.
Okay.
So I said, I'm excited to see Marvin. Should I be saying I'm excited to meet Marvin, do you think?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I'll walk you through, I'll show you my personal Marvin. I use him for work, so there's not a lot of things I can show you. I'll show you I'll give you the soul of him, and we'll have an interaction with him. I'll show you the template that I built that has been open sourced, and I'll show you, and actually, honestly, I'm happy to talk you through, like, hey, what is my process? Because I actually just onboarded 2 more people at Postman onto Marvin who are non-technical. So these are people who are knowledge workers, non-technical, who have said, hey, look, we know so-and-so is using him. They love him. Can you help me on board? And so I'm going through the technical rigor of like, all right, let's get you using the terminal and Claude Code and figure all that stuff. So yeah, I'm happy to, like, there's so many tangents, so many conversations to have today.
My mind is just expanding here. This is great. So, and I love that we're doing this because we have started this series on Chain of Thought where we dive into how are AI assistants and agents being rolled out across various organizations? How are people using them in their day-to-day lives? And obviously, I think Moltbot has taken the majority of the attention in the last few weeks as it went mega viral. But we talked to Andrew Jones at Block about how they're using Goose across technical and non-technical roles throughout Block's organization. Obviously, many of us are spinning up our own MCP servers or building Claude skills to enable ourselves, whether it's in Claude Code or elsewhere. But what drove you to decide to build, your own comprehensive personal assistant, Marvin?
Yeah. Oh, so there's a little bit of a backstory here. So all of last year, right, we got Claude Code. We were starting to see what he was capable of. And I imagined and with MCP, I imagined using Claude Code as kind of a personal assistant. I've had this idea for a long time. Like I wrote my original brainstorm on him was, I think, June of last year. But what I realized is, like, I started off by just building a lot of my own integrations. So it was, hey, I need, like, these were all just my own personal little pieces of software, right? My own SaaS products that were just buried.
Yeah, I need these metrics every month. Do it for me.
Yeah, and I had all these different pieces of software all lying around on my machine, right? They were like, oh, well, I have a personal CRM. Like, I don't need a Salesforce. I don't need even an ADIO.
Right.
I just want a personal CRM. So I'm like, hey, I need to talk to Connor. It automatically pulls up. It's like, where's Connor? What's he doing? And so I started building all these small integrations, and these were all individual pieces of, like, software that just existed. Then 4.6 came out. Sorry, 4.5 came out. Sorry, I should say Opus 4.5 came out in November, and I found myself at Christmas, at the holidays, like, I'm off for the last 2 weeks of the year, and I'm just sitting on my butt doing nothing. Like, for the first time, I'm like, okay, now I can actually think about these things. And it's ironic that, like, OpenClaw, or like it was Claudebot, then Moltbot, now OpenClaw. Like,
I'm sincerely losing track.
I know it's OpenClaw for now until OpenAI, like, sues them or whatever. But, like, I found myself just sitting at my desk or sitting at the house with the kids running around, and I grabbed my laptop and I thought, I'm gonna brainstorm. Like, I know how good 4.5 really is. I think there's something more that I could do with this. And what really changed for me was the understanding that AI, LLMs, they love structured content, structured data. So I've been a huge proponent of, I mean, if you see me on LinkedIn, I've had posts where I'm like, learn Markdown. Markdown was the key unlock for me that I went, oh, something is here.
I think I write more in Markdown today than anything else, just because I'm trying to enable agents to work on my behalf, or I'm trying to structure information to go into an LLM for easy retrieval.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, if you've used Obsidian, yeah. And these are all things like I've been storing, ideas in Markdown files on my machine. And so then it all kind of came together. I realized that if I could, like, with 4.5 being as powerful as it was, knowing how good Markdown was and how token efficient Markdown is, and I thought, I bet you I can I bet you I can build something here. And so over the course of like 3 or 4 hours, I'm just sitting up here in my office, and I put together like the first iteration of what Marvin was, and it was never meant to share externally. This was just, I don't know, no one else is doing this. I haven't seen it. I'm going to build it for myself. So I built it very purposeful for myself. Um, and I said, hey, I want you to have an attitude like you're Marvin. So Marvin, I'm a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy fan. So that's where Marvin comes in. He's a sardonic, sarcastic, pessimistic, all-knowing robot. And it kind of worked. And so I built Marvin and said, okay, I've got all these other pieces of software that I've built. Like, let's analyze each one of them one by one. And can we bring this in, and can I do something with it? So this was before agent teams came out. This was before plugins and all that. So I built a skills, it was not proprietary, but I built a directory on my machine, or directory in Marvin, called skills. And that skills is like, if I do this, this is the procedure. This is the workflow that we typically do. Like, I've heard from mentors in the past, if you do anything twice, automate it. If you do something twice, automate it. So I thought, okay, let's start kind of cataloging a lot of my workflows. And I started doing this in Markdown with Claude Code, like just back and forth, like brainstorming with me. And again, before I knew it, by the end of the holiday break, I came into was it 5th, when we were all coming back to the office, and I put Marvin to the test. And like in a real world environment, it's like, okay, I've got a Google project. So I didn't even use MCP. Like, these were all hard coded because I'd already built a lot of these integrations on my own with the APIs that existed. So it was just, let's just build it and let's see what happened. And after the first week, I went back and looked at what I accomplished. So let me give you, actually, I'm going to, well, Connor, I'm going to let you drive a little bit. When do you want me to show off Marvin?
Let's kick it
how
off right now,
he
man.
sits? Okay.
You could do it the whole time, and I'd be stoked. So.
Okay. So the idea of Marvin is that you bookend your day. Okay. So I'll share my screen. I bookend my day. I start my day with Marvin, and I say, hey, there's a slash command called /start. Again, this is before plugins. This is before all the stuff that, it's like, I know I could make custom slash commands. So I made a custom slash command that says /start. That would kick off a series of bash commands that would go get my work email. It would go get my calendar. It would go get, I have a state tree, a state file that keeps where I'm currently at any given time. And then throughout the day, I do my work, and then at the end of the day, I type /end. I have a /end command inside of Marvin.
So Marvin's just running the whole time through your work.
Marvin's running all day. Like, at this point, he now runs 90+% of my day. Like, I'm in Marvin. I don't, like, there are times where I don't even respond in Slack. I say, hey, Bonnie, Bonnie just sent me a Slack message. Can you respond? And he will spin up like Playwright. He'll go in, send Bonnie a response on my behalf, and I haven't done anything. I'm like sitting here like I'm working. So let me show you Marvin. I keep talking about this. So the Marvin, you know what? I'm going to share my entire screen because I can go back and forth.
And as you're doing this,
Yeah.
I think an interesting point here is that it's not just you using Marvin in your workplace anymore either. It's spread to
No,
your coworkers.
it has spread to my coworkers. We have a Marvin. So it started off with one of my colleagues using him. So one of my colleagues was starting to use him. She's like, "Hey, I really like what you're doing." I was like kind of bragging about it. And at the end of the first week, by the way, this is where I realized I had something. Is at the end of the first week, I looked at my report and I had accomplished 190 line items. Like if you look on the screen now, you can see the screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have on the right side here, I have my my reports. And these reports right here on the right are my weekend reports. And it takes every session that I've done. So I track days are a session, and it takes the last 5 sessions smartly. It looks at it and then says, okay, now it's going to compress that into one larger end of week report. And when I looked at my first week report, I had accomplished 190 something line items. And I just finished in 1 week what really normally takes me a month.
Yeah.
And that's when it kind of hit me. So with Marvin, I'm in the terminal here. I have, I'll be on the right side here. This is one of my favorite things to do is,
And so an important point here is that you're leveraging Claude Code to then run Marvin.
yeah. So Claude Code is the harness underneath the hood. Like it's the engine that runs Marvin. Marvin is not, and that's the thing with a lot of these like OpenClaw with everything. A lot of it is still under the hood. It's just one of the it's Codex, it's Gemini CLI, it's Claude Code. That's just the engine that's running everything. But what you build around it is what matters. And so yeah, so to answer your question earlier, I've got over a dozen of my colleagues were using them,
Wow.
including 2 heads of departments who said, "Oh, we love it." So much so that I heard from someone that someone in the security team was like, "Hey, are we worried about this?" And they said, "No, we already approved Claude Code. This is not doing anything above and beyond. This is not an open Claude. This is not like taking over your Mac. This is just Marvin in a very clearly defined space."
Which I think is really smart because it enables it to actually be leveraged from a workplace much more easily than
Yes.
like I will not get to have OpenClaw on my Mac anytime soon.
Never. Like you'll never have it, and that's the reality of all of this. But with Marvin, the way I've built it is when you onboard with Marvin, you do the clone. I mean, you get cloned the repo down, but then on the onboarding, he actually makes a copy of himself on your machine wherever you want him to be. Now that is then the location where all work is done after that. So there is a complete separation between the template Marvin that is right, like this is the template Marvin. Um,
Congrats on almost
when
900 stars, by the way. Excited to see where
I
it is
know
when this comes out.
this is 3 weeks. Like after the first week, after the first 24 hours of posting on Reddit about him, I had like 150. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is going to be great. And it's just continually grown and more people are
Is
using him.
Marvin
So
the one posting on Reddit or are you the one posting on Reddit?
I posted on Reddit. Marvin helped.
Okay.
Actually, this is where Connor, you and I are like, I'm just jumping around because there's so many cool things. I know. There's so many cool things to talk about with him. So, Marvin is again. So it's primarily he runs on Claude Code. He can run on Codex, and he can run on Gemini CLI if you want. But I use him. I use Claude Max for work. He is primarily in Markdown, and he has a lot of skills. So actually, one of the things that I do is I use Mac Whisperer or Mac Whisper. Let me show you. This is the product. Like you can find it. like I'm paying for the pro account. I don't know who the developer of this guy of it is, but it's freaking amazing because I have on my machine, I just have a hot button and I can talk to Marvin in real time. So,
Oh, smart.
hey, Marvin, I am actually on a podcast right now and I want to show off like what you are, but I also need to protect like proprietary stuff for work. So right now I'm showing I want to show the personality. So I'm looking at the Claude MD file. I'm going to pull up the personality stuff. And then I also want to show some other things. Is there anything you would like to tell or say to the audience that to introduce yourself? So that's my talk to text or speech to text. And then
Marvin
like
is booping right now within
he's booping.
Claude. Yeah.
Oh, and if I actually start him up, I don't know if I shared audio on this, but I also gave Marvin a voice, a literal voice using 11 Labs. Okay, here we go. So fine. So Marvin is fun because Marvin stands for manages appointments, reads various important notifications, named after the Paranode robot. I built him originally as my chief of staff. A few things. He's not a chatbot. He's built entirely on Claude Code with custom commands and agents, no fancy framework, just markdowns, files, bash scripts, and stubbornness. I remember things between conversations. So this is the problem that we're trying to solve, right? This is the problem that I went after. It's like, I'm tired of having to restart a whole new conversation with Claude every time I open up. Like,
Right. Like I can somewhat solve it with project memory if I just do a lot of things in a project, but it doesn't really fully solve the problem.
yeah, it doesn't. And so I think it's ridiculous. So I went with the goal of like, I want to remember context of what we've done in the past. I want to remember like from session to session, what have we done? By the way, at any given time, I have like 2 or 3 instances of Marvin running at the same time. And that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But all right, so on the right-hand side here is the Claude.md file. This is when you start up Claude, this is basically like the system prompt, right? So we talk about all these things. I have my personal things, my work. What I do is I keep my work people here. And I use this as key contacts, right? So people I talk about on a regular basis at work, very specifically, because this is my Marvin for work. It's like, hey, Quentin, he's my boss. Oh, well, so anytime I talk about Quentin, it knows, like Marvin remembers who he is and says, so I don't have to remember.
In mind. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so Marvin behaves. This is the one thing. He surfaces what I need to know. He's proactive by default. He helps maintain continuity. But then one thing I love is the personality. And he has sardonic wit. He's direct and unfiltered. So I swear freely, and Marvin can too when it sees fit. He's not sycophantic. So I skipped the great questions bullshit. This was Marvin writing for himself. He said, just answer. And important, he's not a yes man. So when we're making decisions, the goal is we're going to brainstorm together. That is the big key. And then the last one is my favorite is Marvin, don't overdo it. Marvin is helpful first, personality second. This is actually something I had to add later on because he was over-indexing on sarcastic.
Trying to be a personality hire.
Yeah, he was kind of pissing me off. So I said, dude, too much. I need you to be helpful first and less sarcastic. So he actually wrote this himself. It's like, oh, this is who I am. But when there's an opportunity for a dry comment or well-placed, can I swear on this on the pod? All right. When there's an opportunity for a dry comment or a well-placed for fuck's sake, take it. And I'll tell you, dude, this man, I say, like, I am like turning him into human. He has sworn at me when he's made mistakes, and it is hilarious. I love it. So the other thing that I've got, I built in here is my content agent. And so these are sub-agents. If you're not familiar with it, sub-agents are here. If you look at it, let me see where I have. So I have a couple things. Here's some absolute rules.
Never use M dashes. Good call.
Get rid of the M dashes, replace with commas.
Can I just sidebar momentarily and say, like, I hate that we are at this point because they're a very useful but it just is what it is. And
It
today,
is.
you know,
You're right. Well, so think about that. Like I
3
get
years
on
ago, loved an
Reddit.
M dash.
Yeah. Well, and we've gotten to the point where we like I get onto Reddit or I get onto like any one of the subreddits, like AI agents, Claude builders. Like there's so many subreddits I follow, and even on LinkedIn, and I can read someone's post and I go, "That was written by Marv. Like that was
Oh,
written
I
by
mean,
AI."
the
Like
thing for
you
me
know
is like
this.
anytime I'm on like Twitter, Blue Sky, or LinkedIn or any social platform, Reddit, it's the not X, it's Y pattern. That one's
Yes,
driving me insane lately.
I can't stand it. So I was very clear.
And
It's
I
like,
use it
don't
occasionally, I
use.
will admit. Like I use AI to draft all the time. So like sometimes I leave it
Yeah,
in. But, you know.
yeah. Well, there's a point to have some of it, right? Like I use AI to draft. I mean, I'll show you some of my blog posts that I've drafted. Like they get in there, and I've used these in the past myself, but they've over indexed on them, and so
It's completely over indexed. Yeah. It's
yeah.
become a crutch.
So yeah, so here is like so my sub agent that does all of it is like these are the
It's basically
absolute
a brand
styles.
guide here.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and yeah, don't overfill. Remove or replace with specific language. Like very really just actually like these are not how I necessarily speak. Um, so yeah. Um, let's see what else.
Well, okay, I have to
I'll,
ask.
I'll pause
So
here because I keep talking.
no, I have like a million questions coming out. This is why I was saying this to Sterling before we started recording. But like typically, I have a prep call with a guest. You know, we talk about like let's structure the conversation. And I kind of glanced at the Marvin repo and I was like, I'm just going to talk to Sterling. There's a lot of stuff in here. So let me just keep asking questions here. So one, note taking and note consumption. So how do you deal? Like you're obviously doing a great job setting it up with success here, but when Marvin like I'll say like one of my and I think many people's biggest use cases for AI is simply like transcribing our meetings and
Yes.
creating synthesized notes. I have a million of them. I have a huge Notion space where I have all these transcribed notes. I am often synthesizing those for project knowledge documents that turn into structured docs that get fed into Claude for drafting things like strategy docs, et cetera, or just providing context to different projects. How are you automating, organizing, and ensuring that Marvin remembers notes?
Yeah. So for work, we use granola, and I don't know if you've heard of that. That's
I'm familiar with Granola. I use it for personal work. So yeah.
yeah, we use it. I mean, we've had like Otter, you've had like like other note taking things come up. Um, so I use granola. We use granola for work. Here's the crazy thing: is I did this with one of my colleagues. Granola doesn't have an API. And at the time of recording, they still don't have an API. They said they're releasing an MCP server. I haven't used it. Um, but so we use Granola to transcribe meetings. I asked Marvin, I said, I mean, really, this is Claude Code. I said, hey, I have an application on my machine called Granola. I said, they like, we're approved to use it, but anytime I'm in a meeting, I need to save these notes. I need the transcription and I need the notes. And I need to figure out how to get this into Marvin here. So when I work on things, I'm not having to go from, because Connor, what you said is like you copy and paste from one place, you go into Notion, and then you copy and paste that back into like open, like Claude, like the desktop, and it's like, hey, we're going to do all this work. Like that copy pasting shouldn't happen. So Marvin went and solved that for me. And he said, oh, I see what it is. Because you're already logged in and we're on the machine and you're approved for this. I'm very security focused. It's one of the reasons why I don't
I
like
think it's a
OpenClaw.
huge gap for many folks. So I love that you're
Yeah.
thinking with
It's
that
like,
forward.
I'm already approved for this. So what can we do here? And so Marvin went out, looked at Granola and said, hey, I found the application. I see where everything is, what's happening. What ends up happening is under the sun or under the hood. He explained it. He goes, I can actually capture this and retro build an API for it. And so he did it. So now I literally go in
Okay.
and say, hey, I just got out of a meeting. Can you pull the notes? And Marvin will immediately pull those notes for me. He built that API for me, pulled it in. And this is the integration that changed for one of my colleagues. I'm going to call her out by name. Her name is Liv. She was she was the first adopter of Marvin at Postman. She said that she got out of a meeting. 'Cause we had Atlassian connected, so there's Jira and Confluence already there. That MCP server is a fantastic MCP server. No notes. Like, I use that MCP server for Marvin now. But I got her set up, and she got out of a meeting, and decisions were made in that meeting about a major epic that's going on. Like, she's working on Epic, and she told Marvin, "Hey, we added the granola integration." She said, "Marvin, go pull the last notes, and we made some decisions, and I need to update the Epic." And that Epic had I don't know, 15, 20 Jira tickets that were associated with it, with different people who were all responsible for something on it. And she let Marvin, she pulled the transcript. Marvin pulled the transcript, saw what needed to be done, went and updated every Jira ticket that was there, and did it all for her, and did it all accurately. I mean, she was still human in the loop. She said, "Yeah, that looks good." Did it, updated. What she said was, and I quote, it's like, Marvin accomplished in 30 minutes what normally takes me over 4 hours. And that, to me, that's a knowledge worker who's non-technical, like, she's not a developer. I'm like, that's when I thought, I'm like, Marvin's got something. Like, there's the ability here as a knowledge worker to build this type of thing. So yeah. So what you were talking about is like, hey, granola is a great one. I know that anything that's got an API, I mean, hell, APIs are like it. And I work at Postman, and I'm on the API I'm on the API train. I've been on the API train forever. APIs are powering AI right now. And the best if you don't have a good API, sorry, no one's going to use your product. Granola, like, I retro-built an API for Granola, and it works. And that integration's like, now I go in and say, "Hey, pull my last meeting. What were the decisions we made?" Now, the cool thing with this is, because I have my current state with Marvin, when I talk, I say, "Hey, here's my last meeting." I don't even tell him what happened. I said, "What happened? Like, is there anything I need to do after this meeting?" And he will go and say, "Okay, here's all the action items from it. I'm going to put this on your to-do list." That task list is in a current state file. That current state just gives me, so when I say, "Hey, what do I need to work on now?" Marvin comes in and says, "Hey, you've already done all these 3 things. Now let's focus on this next thing." So at the beginning of my day, when you run /start on Marvin, there's a slash command there. He bookends. He pulls in my personal email. He pulls in my work email. He pulls in my work calendar. He pulls in all my Jira tickets. He pulls in everything that I need, and then we have a stand-up every morning. I treat him like a junior assistant. He is not an AI to be told what to do. This is a stand-up. So then we go back and forth for 10 minutes. It's like, "Hey, actually, overnight, I got some Slack messages from some of my team in India. Let's update this." And then by the time I'm done with my stand-up with him, I know exactly what I'm going to do for that day. And then the other cool thing is, I said, "All right, now schedule my day." So he'll go and he'll, like, block out. So if any of my colleagues are watching and you see that my day is completely blocked out, it's because of Marvin. It's like, no,
Marvin's
I don't
fault.
want,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to be bothered. It's like, I love I love my colleagues, but I'm like, I don't want to be bothered when I'm trying to focus on building something. So he goes and blocks out my time. He's, "All right, here's everything." And he's like, "I think you can do all these within this given time." And we go work on it. So it's way too much fun, dude. Marvin is like, these personal assistants, and I think here's not really a hot take, but what we've seen in the first 2 months of the year. I mean, we're 2 months into this, right? Like, I built Marvin almost 2 months ago. OpenClaw was iterated on and really kind of took off about 2 months ago. These personal assistants are doing what we've always wanted them to do, that no one else is doing. Like OpenAI can't do it, Anthropic can't do it. There's a level of integration and customization that the reason why we're thirsting after this is because This is AI applied in real time. The fact that I now have OpenClaw, and I do have OpenClaw on a Mac Mini. I did buy into that. I'm sorry. Like, I bought a Mac Mini.
I almost bought a Mac Mini just for it. I was at Costco and I was like, ooh.
Actually, and I'm going to tell you this, we're going to have a hard time with compute by the end of this year. I think like the OpenClaw thing is
happening.
I think it's the tip of the iceberg. I don't think this is going away. And if it doesn't go away, then we need to figure out like the compute's there. So I bought a Mac Mini purposely knowing that I need a Mac, like I need the compute just to run on my own if I can't get it. Like I went to the Apple store down here and they sold out of all of like within, like I'm in the Bay Area, right? So within the entirety of the Bay Area, every base level Mac Mini was sold out. That's not going away. Like anyways, but these AI assistants are like Marvin, OpenClaw, like these assistants are doing what AI was meant to do. And open like 4.6, 5.3 that came out, these all unlocked an even greater like need for these tools. Like 4.6, I write I write blog posts, and I write a lot of code.
Thanks to Galileo for sponsoring this episode. Their new 165-page comprehensive guide to mastering multi-agent systems is freely available on their website at galileo.ai and provides you the lens you need to understand when multi-agent systems add value versus single-agent approaches, how to design them efficiently, and how to build reliable systems that work in production. Download it for free at the link in the show description to discover how to continuously improve your AI agents, identify and avoid common coordination pitfalls, master context engineering for agent collaboration, measure performance with multi-agent metrics, and much more. Do you have something that's kind of on your to-do list that you could take us through with Marvin?
Yeah, actually, let's do it.
In the meantime, I'll also note that as Sterling's doing this, I am looking through the repo and I'm going like, oh, okay, I see a couple connections I would need to build to try this out. So you might get a PR from Claude Code. It's kind of from me, probably from Claude Code more than anything else later today.
It works. I mean, I've had, dude, within the first 24 hours, I had two people who submitted PRs for Marvin. And again, that's when I knew something was going to happen. Like I knew something was working.
Yeah, okay, I see. As of right now, there's no linear integration set up, and I was like, we use linear in modular. So if I'm going to really take advantage of this, I have to go furthest to linear. So it should be easy.
All right, so let's do this. I'm going to actually just kind of walk you through my process. So my process is that I typically just record it. Like I go onto if I'm on a walk, I go and I record a train of thought. And I just record myself talking. And then I go back to Marvin and I say, hey, I just talked a lot about a lot of random stuff. Can you put this into an outline? I want to make this a post. This is a perfect example. And draft of a blog post where I was on a walk and I was talking about AI for normies. And I was listening to the AI Daily Brief. I was listening to Nate B. Jones, two of my favorite podcasts. And I was listening to him. I was like, really, the goal of AI is like you and I are adopters, right? We're technical. We love these things. But how do we make AI useful for the normal person? And I think that's the unlock that we're trying to get to. And right now, I don't see OpenAI or Claude actually being able to do that. It's still like Claude is still limited. They're all still limited within a text box. I mean, Claude Code is getting there, but my sister's not going to use Claude Code. She's a stay-at-home mom. So I wrote this this outline here. So AI for normies, what my sister taught me about the real AI gap. The problem, the content is written by tech people for tech people. The real gap isn't technical. And so this was an outline that I'd worked on in the past. And I broke this off after I was working on another one. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to drag that in here and say, okay. Hey Marv, so I want to work on this outline for the AI for Normies blog post. So one of the things that I really like about it, I think everything works right now. The outline actually fits for what we're doing. Can we do a real quick first draft of this and see what it would do? I want to keep this. The target audience of this is going to be non-technical users, but so like my sister who is non-technical will be the target audience for this, but I want to also make it so that those who are in the tech industry will see why this is so important.
And Marvin is taking us through its thought process and starting to jump in on the sidebar here.
All right, so you'll see that he spawned the content agent. So that is my content agent. That's the one that I showed you earlier that is very clear about, like, this is a, you're not doing AI slop. So now anytime I write something, it goes immediately through my content agent and it does that first pass for me. So a couple of my other posts that I've done, I did the future of AI work. This was my horse manure. If you haven't read that one, that was one of my favorite ones. It's about like why horse manure and AI what do they have in common? And that one you can see I had 5 drafts of this with articles that I pulled. But now I'm also finding, even after this, I only go through 1 or 2 drafts before I'm good to go. So I think this AI for Normies is a perfect example. This subagent will build it for me. The draft's done, or he's writing it right now. And let's see. Yeah. So here we are. We've done this. This is like, this is a good first draft. Let me take a look. So he's gonna come back and tell me. Draft is done, saved. Let me pull it up so you can see. So Marvin is that, like, if I didn't even have cursor open, Marvin would pull it up. And this is the thing that I love about Marvin and why I built him the way I did. I'm going to have to go back and read this draft eventually, right? That's on the right-hand side. But on the left-hand side, Marvin came back and gave me that summary. He goes, all right, I wrote it. Here's what you've got. Like, I had this conversation, with Marvin this morning. The reality is like, we want Marvin. The problem with Google and the problem with Alexa. So I like, you go in, you Google Alexa or Google Nest, and you've got your Alexa apps at home, and you're like, say, hey Alexa, do this, and it will read the entirety of the thing for you. But that's not what a coworker does, right? So Connor, if you and I are coworkers, I came to you and said, hey, can you draft this blog post for me? Or, hey, what happened with that blog post? And you say, hey, I drafted it. Here's the TLDR. Here's what the blog post is. And that's what Marvin does right here. Marvin it's about 1,600 words. Here's what you've got. Hook with my sister's question, content problem, AI discourse excludes normal people. So he walks through and he talks about the horse manure callback, the CTA, sister's text as a closer, the dual audience work. So as if, and then there's that one flag, right? What flag on line 17 has a not this, because I'm going to zoom in. Like, I realize I'm on my big screen.
Not X but Y crutch.
Not X but Y structure.
Yeah.
But that's borderline on the contrastive crutch rule. Could rework if it bugs you. So let me go back and look at it. That question stopped me cold. I work in tech. Yeah, I don't like that. You know what?
Yeah, it's a little too much.
Yeah, line 17. That's just too much.
I'd almost argue you could just, to cut off your Marvin comms. You could just cut the not because I isn't useful to her line. Sentence entirely. I think it works without that.
I do too. But let's see what he does.
Okay, so Marvin's running your calendar. It's helping you understand day to day what you're working on. It's giving you content drafts. What are some other tasks you're using for it too? Obviously, we're still running through this example, but I'm curious to understand like what else,
Yeah.
updating linear or Jira tickets.
Oh gosh. I mean, I haven't even opened Jira. Okay. Do you want to? I'm gonna
You
stop sharing
still
my
my beating
screen.
heart. Yeah.
Let me stop sharing my screen and let me give you my hot take on this. Again, I had a conversation with Jira or with Marvin this morning. Um, I think traditionally UI is dead. UI right now is for humans, and I don't like it. It's a human construct. It's good for us, but dude, I haven't been in Jira in 3 weeks. Marvin's making all the Jira tickets for me. He knows what he so something to note, and this is something I've told everyone who's onboarded with Marvin so far. Treat Marvin like a junior assistant or a junior engineer. I'm a software engineer, so treat him like a junior engineer. We hire someone new. Connor, how you hire a junior on your team. What is their onboarding time?
Oh man. Depends on the role, obviously, but I mean, I wouldn't expect major impact from them in the first 2 months, realistically.
So, yeah, most companies give you a 90-day grace period, and depending on the role, there are times where I'm like, you're not going to be helpful for probably 6 months.
Yeah, there's at least for break even as far as like
Yeah,
the time put in by the team and the manager to really get that person up and running. If you're more junior, if you're more junior, I should say, yeah, it's going to be a few months probably. And I mean, with you see with managers too, where the break even on impact can take too long for an org, and often that's where managers fail and kind of lose trust if they don't accelerate things early on.
yeah, you're exactly right, and I 100% agree with you. So when you're onboarding with Marvin, when I tell people when you're using him, treat him like a treat him like you're onboarding a new colleague. So my Marvin now is vastly different, like than when I started with him in January on January 5th. He's adopted, he's adapted, he has evolved, he is now much better. So I give him feedback. Um, so like one of the things I was going to mention with Jira is I started off with, hey, go get my Jira tickets. Well, Marvin, like, what Jira tickets? There's like, if I go into Atlassian, there are thousands of Jira tickets. Some are not even required by me, but I need to be watching them. So what I do with Marvin, and what I recommend users do, is I go to Confluence and I go to my Confluence space and I share the full link to the Confluence space. I go to my Kanban board and I share the full link in my Kanban board. And then I go back to Marvin and I say, here is my personal space that I work out of. Here's the DevRel workspace in Confluence that I work out of. Here's my Kanban board in Jira that I work out of. That gives Marvin, just as if you're like, Connor, you've got a colleague. We're back in the office, and you got a junior, and you're showing them your screen. You're going to walk them through the screen. You're not
And
going to
then it'd be
say,
like, here are the docs, go read it, please. You like make sure you understand what's going on. Yeah,
exactly.
take some time to go through.
So that's exactly what's happening here. It's like I just onboard Marvin like you would any other colleague. So I show him, here's all the docs, here's where everything's at, here's what I do. Go read through it, and so you can get context on what my focus is and that. So then Marvin, when I started working with Jira, Marvin would pull some of my tickets, and then I'd say, that's wrong, that's right, and then he would say, okay, I've remembered this, I'll do it better next time. Let me give you a really funny case, a system, or what happened a couple weeks ago. So, um, for Postman, I run meetups. I run all of our meetups in the San Francisco area called Agents and APIs. And I'm using Marvin to help me like track all my Jira tickets, make sure that everything works as needed, and works like I make sure the Jira tickets are updated, or he manages the Jira tickets. He makes sure that we've hit all of our check boxes. It helps me track. It's like, hey, have you ordered swag? Hey, have you ordered food? Have you done all these things? And right before the last meetup, I said, hey, um, Heidi and James are doing security for the meetup. Those are the security guards at Postman, or security guards and receptionists. And Marvin didn't know that context. So he went and said, oh, well, so he said, Heidi and James are speaking about security. And so he updated the Jira ticket. He went and updated my slide deck. He did all the things that I would have wanted to do. And then I explained, dude, you're wrong. They are the security guards. They're not speaking. So he then said, I'm so sorry. I fucked up. And then he went and had to redo, and he went back into the Jira ticket.
That's a junior mistake right there. Yeah.
It is. It's a junior mistake. Am I mad at it? No. I think it's hilarious. Has he made that same mistake again? No. A good junior would not make that same mistake twice.
Yeah.
Marvin is a good junior. Now he's at the point now where I'm like, I use him all day, every day. I would now say he's like immediate, like a mid-level. He's not senior or staff or principal, but he's really up there, where at the point where like I trust him to do a lot more stuff that I just
40 days in right now. So that's really good growth trajectory right there.
Yeah. It's amazing.
If I'm listening and I'm excited, I think Marvin could be what I need at work, or maybe I just need it to help me out my day to day. How do I get started?
Okay. This is where it's really hard. If you're a technical person, if you're a software engineer and you're around these things, you should have no problem getting them set up. If you're non-technical, this is where there's going to be a pretty wide gap of capability or of knowledge. You need a terminal, you need Claude Code, you need some type of IDE. So Cursor, VS Code, Windsurf, any anti-gravity, and then that's it. Like, you need those three things. And then, but again, if you're not a software engineer, like I onboarded two more non-technical people this morning onto Marvin. They're never been software engineers. One's an English major. I had to go and say, okay, well, we need to go download iTerm. Now we need to go to Homebrew. And they're looking at this going, Homebrew looks super sketchy. As a non-technical person, it looks super sketch. So I'm like, no, go down. You're going to install Homebrew. You got to install Node. You got to install, like you got to do the, brew, install, cask, Claude Code. You got to do all those things. They look super intimidating. That's the gap that we have in the industry right now, is knowledge workers are, and I know like Anthropic is trying to do that with Coworker, in their app. It's okay. I tried it. It's not nearly as good as Marvin. And like Marvin is better, and OpenClaw is better. Like these community built ones are just significantly better than what they have, but they're trying to accomplish that. So if you want to use Marvin, you can go to the repo. It's it's on my I'll show the link with it, but just look up Sterling Chin and then Marvin template. You can find it on GitHub. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Reddit. I'm on Twitter. You can always ping me there. And then honestly, so the cool thing with the onboarding is that onboarding with Marvin, you clone the repo down and you open up, you clone it, you get in the terminal, you CD into the repo, and then all you do is say, help me set up Marvin. And then Claude Code will read through, because I purposely built this package to be for non-technical people. So I have two department heads at Postman who are using Marvin right now, who are non-technical. So he walks you through. He's like, what's your name? Where do you work? What's your job title? He goes through. It's like, what are your personal goals? What are your work goals? That is a very personal thing, because for me, my Marvin, he knows that I want to do 10,000 steps a day. So after an hour or so of working with him, he will literally say, Sterling, it's time to get off your ass and go touch grass. So then I'm like, aye, Captain. So I get up, I walk out, I go walk around the block, and I come back up. It's like, hey, don't forget to drink your water. I mean, I'm drinking my water here. So But he'll walk you through everything. Like the onboarding is meant to be non-intrusive, very comfortable for you to do. He'll ask you your work goals, what you're tracking against. And then he'll walk you through like kind of an onboarding. He's like, here are the commands that you need to do. You need start, you need end. There is an update. And so like I mentioned at the beginning, you bookend your days. You run start at the beginning of the day. That kind of pulls in the context from the previous day, gives you everything you need to know. Throughout the day, you can run the /update command. And that /update command will give you everything that you've done in that session, in that little bit of that small session. So we're knowledge workers. We're software engineers. We're working on one thing and then we go to the next. So when I'm done with one thing, when I'm like, this is all I've done. This is all I need to do for the day. I don't need to finish this. I just need to get this blog post done. I would then type, actually, you know what? I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to share my screen and you're going to watch me do this while we're here. I do my /start, but then I'm going to go /update here. So what happens now is Marvin's going to go look in and he's going to my sessions. He's going to see that I don't have a session for the 13th. So if you look down here, he just added the 13th session for, oh gosh, I realized it's Friday the 13th. And then he says checkpointed. So now I've got a checkpoint. So now I'm confident here that if I run out of context, I can clear the context here, or you can compress it because you've only got 200,000. So here I can finish this all up and it's okay. Now let's go work on the next thing. So now he's got me in the it's beginning of afternoon. I'm on a podcast. Introduced Marvin to the audience, drafted AI for Normie's blog post, fixed contrastive crutch, and draft has been saved. So now if I were to go do something, yesterday, actually, hey Marv, yesterday I was working on a plugin for Claude Code for Postman. Can you give me a quick overview of what we accomplished yesterday? So what Marvin's doing, he's going back and he's going to be reading two files. Realistically, he's reading the 12th here and he's reading my current state. And so here it is. He says, yesterday was a big day. Here's the quick rundown. Bid shift. It's like what we got built. We built the full PRD written for the Postman plugin. There's 8 commands, 3 skills, and 1 agent. I did QA testing. 455 out of the 472 QA checks passed. 10 fixes have been applied. We shipped 9 clean commits. Still open still open to do from yesterday, and that. This is so now I've got this. It's like Marvin knows. Like, hey, where do we end up yesterday? A lot of times when you're in a situation where you're on a team, you're a software engineer, you are a knowledge worker, you start your day and you're like, you spend the first hour of your day wondering, okay, what did we do yesterday? What do I need to, where did I finish off yesterday? And what do I need to do to pick up from this? So in this case, what I could do is say, hey, Marv, let's pick up from where we left yesterday. I did do the end-to-end results, or I did do the end-to-end tests for him. I tested it in a separate session. It worked out really, really well. But I do need to make the GIF demo, and we do need to work on the marketplace listing. And this is how I interact with Marvin. And so, yeah, to do. So after this, after you and I are done here, I am literally going to go and I'm going to record, GIFs. We're building this. So hopefully by the time this is released, right? This plugin, our official Postman plugin is ready to go. So, yeah.
Awesome. Sterling, thanks for this walkthrough of Marvin. It's been a ton of fun meeting you, Marvin, if you're still listening. And yeah, just really enjoyed the conversation, Sterling. Always great catching up with you. I thought it was particularly insightful when you brought up earlier this idea that, you know, the compute crunch that we have all been worrying about, despite the insane CapEx coming out of the top hyperscalers to build out more data centers, build out more compute, besides discussion of data centers in space and much more, it's coming. We're all buying Mac Minis when we're on the cutting edge of this, or at least to mess around with at a minimum.
Yeah.
So given this idea of the compute crunch, and I'll say, talking to many compute partners today, it's a lot harder to get nodes than it has been at certain times. This is a big issue. What else are you expecting as the proliferation of agents spreads across the world, and I think outside of software development? What else are you expecting to see?
We are really good at adapting. So here's what I expect. We're going to have a compute crunch. And I think out of necessity, that's going to force us to start to really work on small language models. So I would love to see open source models come out that are small, that can run on a Mac Mini quickly, right? I can run a Llama. I could run, Llama. I could run, Kimi 2, and I could run all of these on the Mac Mini as it is, but it's slow. And the reason why we're constrained, the reason why I use Claude Code as a harness for Marvin is because I can't run a local model on my machine that is fast enough that meets the requirements that I have. I would love to see, so with the compute crunch that's happening, I think that's inevitably going to force the open source world to really say, okay, now, like, I'm also looking at Mistral. I'm looking at them and as hopefully the standard bearer that they can come in. I love Meta, or I used to like Llama. Uh, It's like it's
Last
not for
couple
me anymore.
iterations have been,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
If
I'm
you're a
looking at
Meta person listening to this, you want to come defend Llama on the podcast, please send us your spokesperson. We're happy to talk to them.
Yeah. But I'm hoping Mistral, like, I want to see some small language models come in that we could run, like these coding agents that like a Claude Code clone that can run on a machine. That I think is going to happen this year. I think knowing that the compute is so constrained, even at the at the foundation, like at the leaders of the foundation models, the next iteration is got to be a small model. So that's what I like to see. Um, Eventually, I want it on my phone. Now, the reason why I use OpenClaw, and I have OpenClaw in with no relation to anything that I'm doing for work. It is on my own personal hobby stuff. The reason why I have OpenClaw running on my own machine, on my own Mac Mini, is because I can connect to them over my phone. Now, the cool thing with that is that I gave an instance of Marvin to my wife, and so she's talking to Marvin. So we're using one of the apps, chat apps. I have a shared conversation for a finance Marvin. That's me, my wife, and a financial advisor version of Marvin that I have. Like, she has her own version of Marvin that I've given her that is like sandboxed. It's like, no, she could only use, like, she can actually write code. She's not a developer, but she can push to this repo. And I've given the permissions to do that, and I said only this person. I've added a bunch of security measures, but like, she has her own version of Marvin, and now she's using it, and that's a really cool. That's cool, but that's still having an API that's connected. All the things. Long term, I want something on my phone that is like, I have a model on my phone that is my own personal agent. So open source has got to win. I don't want to. I as much as I love Anthropic and OpenAI and Gemini, and I have a lot of respect for their teams over there. I think the end of the day, I really want, for personal stuff, I want an open source to win.
I love it. That's a great call to action, and I think it's something that I know the team over at Modular is very excited about. It is our open source push. I know a lot of folks are working on this on their individual time. I think it's going to happen. There's going to be closed sections because people want to make money, but broadly, the infrastructure for AI has to be open source in order to let this have the impact that we want it to in a positive way. and limit the downsides, because there are downsides.
Yeah.
Sterling, thank you so much for this fantastic conversation. Thank you for thinking about security on this. You've given me at least 3 PR ideas for Marvin that I will be going to play with Claude Code on the rest of the afternoon. Great chatting with you.
Connor, it's always good to see you, and I'm always happy to come back. And
Yeah, definitely.
on
We're
on
gonna
a,
have to
on
have
a
an update
last,
once you go viral again. So
well, I was gonna say on a final note, I do have a couple big structural changes for Marvin that I've been working on, that on like my open clause, like my on my Mac Mini I've been working on. Um, I think it's going to be a really big update. And I'm doing it internally with a couple people that use Marvin. I'm testing it out with them and see, hey, does this actually work? So that's coming. And I'm going to hint at something. I'm joining a hackathon over the weekend. And I think I've got a new some more stuff coming.
okay, so what I'm hearing is by the time I'm actually done editing this thing and ready to get it out, I'm gonna have to call you and be like, no, you got to get back on 15 more minutes. Just like give me the update.
Maybe.
So,
Love it.
Sterling, good luck with the hackathon. Super excited to see the results of that. Listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, let us know. Or if you think we missed something, or this format isn't quite landing with you, I would love to hear that as well. I know we're experimenting a bit, so we're hoping these builder first conversations are something folks are having a lot of fun with. But if they need to be structured differently, we would love that feedback. Sterling, thanks for coming on. It's been a pleasure, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
You as well. Thanks for having me.